Hello, vinyl community. Welcome to another of Doodad Dave's record reviews. So today we have O. Need a little perspective. There we go. And O stands for Old and in the Way. Now, when this album came out in 1975, it was recorded in 1973 at the boarding house by Owsley, the Grateful Dead's famous sound man and also LSD procure, manufacturer. It took the bluegrass world by storm because it sold so many records, because of course the Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia, who plays banjo on this, had such great popularity. You also have Pete Rowan, who plays guitar and contributes writing credits on Panama Red. You have Vassar Clements, the great fiddle player who had done an album with, or was to do an album in the next year in 1974 with Dickie Betts. This was recorded in 1973, as I mentioned, which was a very prolific year for Jerry Garcia. He was going great guns touring with the Dead. The Dead started their own record label, Grateful Dead Records. This is on Rounder Records, which was ancillary, also Grateful Dead owned record label. He played with Merle Saunders at the Keystone and released that album. So Jerry was very, very, very busy in 1973, coming off the success of Europe 72. The other people, John Kahn on bass, which would go on to be Jerry's longtime bass player. And on mandolin, lest I forget, last but never least, the dog, David Grisman, who Jerry paired up again in 1990. Now, this came out, as I said, it was recorded in 1973. Old in the Way was short-lived bluegrass. Jerry went on to his other bands not too long after that. But every 10 years, 1970, 1980, 1990, of course he died in 95, he did major acoustic tours and albums. So this was an exception. It wasn't on the every 10 years, but if you look at those years in Grateful Dead, you'll find some really nice acoustic work. So what do we have on here? We have Pig in a Pen. We open up with Old and in the Way, that I love. Midnight Moonlight, another Peter Rowan pen tune, which is just awesome. The Hobo Song. There's so many great songs. There's really no bad songs. There's a Stones cover on here, Wild Horses, Panama Red, which the New Riders also did, Land of the Navajo, Kissimmee Kid, which is a Vassar Clements instrumental that they all back them up on. And they all play so well together, off of each other, listening to each other. It's very well recorded, as Owsley usually does. You see the great artwork by Greg Irons, and you can see there's posters in the corner for Grateful Dead and C-Train. Peter Rowan was in C-Train with Richard Green. That's a little nod to that. And there's also New Riders down there, which of course recorded Panama Red the next year. So what else? Great label. I'll show the back of the album. It's artwork, more artwork of the all the strings. Of course, it's all acoustic at the boarding house, a very, very small venue in San Francisco. And then you have the Rounder Records label, which I'll show you. Old and in the Way. So this is for O. Old and in the Way. I never got to see Old and in the Way, but I certainly did love them. And anytime I have a cassette of them breakdown, I think I've listened to High Lonesome Sound. There's the complete boarding house tapes. Anything you can get with this is just a dynamite band. And really, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So that's Old and in the Way. I noticed on Discogs, I put it in my list. It's pretty pricey, so I guess it's out of print right now. Just Jerry's love of bluegrass goes back to the early 60s. Same with Grisman. They used to follow Bill Monroe and Flatt and the Scruggs and Ralph Stanley, they would go to festivals in the Carolinas and stuff like that, and North Carolina, Pennsylvania. And it informed a lot of Jerry's early guitar playing. He taught guitar, as people probably know, in the early 60s. Bob Weir was one of his students. So bluegrass was in his blood. Cold Rain and Snow and many others, Going Down the Road Feeling Bad. Even songs like Deal, which of course was penned by Hunter and Garcia, but there's an old bluegrass song called Don't Let Your Deal Go Down. There's also Devil's Dream, you got Friend of the Devil. So bluegrass was in the blood of the Grateful Dead through and through, from the beginning to the end. And Peggy, of course, was, although not strictly bluegrass, more folk and English folk, but an old folk tune done by a lot of people, recorded by Simon and Garfunkel and Bob Dylan. So that's Old and in the Way, one of my faves. That's a hand down for O. So next we have N, which will be in the same family. I mentioned the band for N tonight, and I think I'm going to have to do their eponymous album, but we'll have that next week. I'm going to try to get back on track. I'm sorry I have not done a review for a while. We've had been a little thrown back with some medical issues this year, but we're bouncing back strong. And I hope you all have a great fall coming up. It's back to school time. There's change in the air and a lot of positivity. And keep spinning that vinyl, and I'll see you on Doodah Dave's record reviews next week. Thanks for tuning in.